Hello, I'm Terry and welcome to another video. First of all, let me say that if you have subscribed to my channel and you enjoy watching my videos, thank you very much. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm up to 42 subscribers now, so that's encouraging. If you haven't subscribed and you like the video, especially the one I'm about to do, then please click that subscribe button. My tongue's a little thick today. So the subject of this video is drones again. I've had this particular drone. This is a Ruko F11 GIM 4K camera, 2-axis gimbal stabilizer for a little over a month now. And to be honest, while I enjoy it, I don't regret having bought it. It's got a couple of problems, design flaws that I'm going to see if I can't correct. One of those flaws is range. It's got a 4,000 foot advertised range, but I've discovered that even in open space, once it gets much over 1,000 feet, it loses the Wi-Fi connection with the controller and it comes back home until it gets the signal back. Also, any obstructions at all, even just a single tree, can break the signal up. Now I understand trees are mostly water and radio waves will not penetrate water. So yeah, you know, you fly behind a line of trees or over a forest, you're gonna lose a signal, but just one tree out in the middle of an open field, yeah, that ain't right. Plus, it has a built-in programmed maximum altitude of 400 feet, which I don't like, but nothing I can do about that. And between 300 and 400 feet, there's a lag time between the joystick command and the drone response. It can be as much as several seconds. Plus, sometimes the drone will ignore minor joystick commands, and sometimes the video will freeze up while it's rotating. For example, it might say I want to rotate it 180 degrees. At about 90 degrees, the video will just stop. The drone is still rotating, but the video is stopped. And then a few seconds later, the video will kick back in, and all of a sudden, wow, it jumped another 90 degrees. You know, and I've lost all of that in between. So I've done some research, and I am convinced that this is all connected to the internal antennas used in the controller and in the drone. And the problem with the controller is, while it looks like it has two antennas, all right, it really doesn't. These things are fake. They're just plastic. Why Ruko even put them on this, I have no idea, other than it just looks cool. There's actually only a single antenna inside the case located between these two fake antennas. So, and this of course is then the phone holder, and these are the handles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack this thing open, and I'm going to replace this crappy ass internal antenna with this 15-inch 2.4 gigahertz dual band Wi-Fi antenna. I'm going to stick it on the back. I'm going to put a hole here in the back. I'm going to stick it on right here. I've got this connector that I'm going to use, and see if that can't up my Wi-Fi signal strength up some. And then after I've finished that, I'm going to turn my attention on the drone, and I'm going to put this 6-inch 2.4 gigahertz antenna back here. I've got to get this thing open to see. I don't know. And this is just most of it is the battery. The electronics are really crammed in here. And then also, it gets a weak GPS signal even when it's showing 5 bars. And I think that's because the GPS receiver is underneath this plastic. So if it is, I'm going to cut a hole in it and expose the receiver, see if that can give me some better GPS reception. But that's the next video. This time, I'm going to replace the internal antenna on the Ruko controller with a new 15-inch 2.4 gigahertz dual band Wi-Fi antenna. So let's get started. Okay, to get started, the first thing I'm going to need to do, I don't know if I need to take this off or not. So I'm not going to take that off right now. So well, yeah, actually I am, because I need to take this cover off. And this sort of sticks out over it. So that's the first thing that I'm going to do, is take off this phone connector, this phone holder. So, also understand, if you want to do this yourself, that as soon as you do what I did, take that cover off, you lose all warranties across the board. So just keep that in mind. And I'm going to put this over here so I don't lose it. So as you can see, this phone holder is actually only itself held on with two small screws. So let's see which one I need. That'll work. I'm going to take these off. So now what I want to do is take off this cover plate, and this really is just held on with like double-sided adhesive, like a okay. Now I want to be very careful with this, keep it clean. So I'm going to lay this on this piece of sheet plastic. This is actually a baggie. You can also use cellophane, and I'm just going to set that over there out of the way. Now, you see screws. There's 6 screws holding this on, so they need to come off. Okay, now this is the actual antenna. So this is what we're going to replace with this. Okay, now I've got to take some more screws loose. Okay, and now we're going to lift this up out of the way, turn this over, and get the antenna out where you can see it. Okay, and as you can see, the antenna is underneath. I don't know if you can see, let me turn it around so you can see it. The antenna wire solders on to a receiver right under here, underneath this plate. So I'm going to take this plate off. Better with my fingers, I think. Yep. Okay, now get that back out of the way. Here. This connector right here is what we need to take off and remove that antenna, and then I'm going to solder this one back on instead. You can tell there's not a difference in the thickness of the wire. And this one's got a little connector on it that I can just leave there and solder it on, or I can cut it off and make this wire shorter. Don't really know yet. And to do that, I'm going to need my soldering iron. There. Okay. The antenna is gone. Now I got to burn the hole for this, and I'm not going to do it right. Let's just go ahead and cover that back up for now. I'm not going to do it right in the center because I might come back later and put on another one of these antenna. I might decide to put on two. So I'm going to offset it just a little bit, right about in here. So let's just start with burning that hole. And I want to do this just big enough that I can slip this through like that. I'll go just a tad more and we'll call that done. And now I want to take my knife and I want to clean this off. Let's see if I can use my pocket knife if it's sharp enough for that. If you had a Dremel tool, I guess you could also sand this down. Main thing is you don't want to get in a hurry and damage something. Which, as you can tell from mine, is not new and is not razor sharp. So, you know, do as I say, not as I do. Learn from my mistakes. Get yourself a nice sharp hobby knife. This was going to get the job done, but not as good as it could do. So I've gone ahead and attached the antenna into the hole, and then as you can see, I have decided to go ahead and cut the wire off shorter. It was a little too long. It was kind of hard to get it wrapped up to stick down in there. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to attach this antenna lead back onto this circuit board where I took the original one off. And I don't know if you can see it here, but there are two little connections there. One is an antenna lead connection, one is a ground connection. And I'm going to solder this wire onto both of them. And if I can get it on there, if I can hold it right, need to solder it to both connectors at the same time. Well, both connectors, not necessarily at the same time, just as long as you get it soldered to both of them, the antenna lead and the ground. And there, I'm going to call that done. And that's it. Now I can put the shielding back in place. And I can start putting this baby back together again. So, how did I do? Every bit as good as I had hoped. The hesitation is completely gone. The lag time between joystick command and drone response has completely vanished, even at maximum altitude. I have not had it out to maximum range yet because where I live that's somewhat difficult to do because there's a lot of trees and buildings are going to get in the way after about 2,000 feet. I have had it out that far with some trees in the way, some wood framed houses, and no problem, even with this 6-inch antenna. Which if you remember, I was going to put this 15-incher on. I'm going to keep this one, by the way, because, well, for my friend, just in case. But this 6-incher seems to be working really well, so I'm going to go with that. And if I can get out around a lake area, sometime maybe I can take it out to maximum 4,000 feet, see what happens. So this was the culprit. Can you see that? That is the culprit. Was in here. Replaced this with this. And the difference in performance is unbelievable. I've got another one of these antennas that I am going to try and still and put back here on the drone. Let's see here. And see if I get any more of an improvement. I got another one here. And if I can, I'm going to mount it back here and see if I get any more improvement on performance. If this one doesn't work, too big or something, I don't know, maybe it throws the balance off, who knows. I do have a smaller one that I can put on. I do have a smaller one here I can put on if the 6-incher doesn't work. So that's it. If your drone is giving you any problems with lag time, with camera freeze up, recording freeze up, and you think the problem may be the antenna, you might have an internal antenna like this and you want to change it out, it's not really hard to do. Well, as you saw, the hard part was getting everything put back together again. And that's usually the way it goes. Yeah, they come packed like that, but just try getting it back in the box. You lose your warranties completely, of course, duh. And I personally would not recommend you try it unless you have some experience with electronic devices and maybe some DIY skills. If you do, go for it. I mean, yeah, it wasn't that hard. I'm going to save the drone for another rainy day project because I'm very happy with the performance now. So, as always, thanks for watching. And if you're going to try this at home and you screw your drone up, don't blame me.